Cinematography. How you doing tonight, interwebs? Woo! I'm here to tell you some film jokes. So let's get to it. See, I'll move that over there, Joe. Thanks for having me. What did David Fincher tell the government in regards to the recent stimulus checks? I'm gonna need another one. Because he does a lot of takes. Okay.
Small and subtle effects with lighting are some of my favorite things. We've shown different ideas on the show before, like when Joe Simon created the look of a car driving by just by walking a light across the windows, or when we made the effect of a car behind a stationary car to give a sense of realism and motion, and most often when we use light to enhance what will eventually be a visual effect. But today, there are no visual effects, just 5 simple effects using nothing but light. For this first one, which is also maybe my favorite of the 5, we built out an alarm moment that is perfect for horror and sci-fi. For this, we're using our new PavoTube 2 lights. We did a review on the originals and have since talked about how they are some of my favorite lights, and these are even better. Better build, better menu and buttons. You can connect it to the app for more control, and there are some really cool added effects you can do. Like this multicolor look, which we used for our city shot in that projector episode we did. But for this here, we set the lights to hue pulse and place them in different spots around the hall, giving us this chaos of light flashing in different intervals. You could sync these up with each other to get a unified strobe, which could be great, but here we are going for that chaos feel. And after we're done with that, we just let sound do the rest of the work and we have our moment. But moving on to something overly stylized and fun. The most fun thing about the noir style is playing with shadows, going for that great campy vibe. Of course, you could do a more serious thing with these same techniques, but we went that campy route here. For the shadows of the blinds, we just cut slats in some chloroplast, which you could just use cardboard here as well, but that gives us this great pattern that we could even turn to get a different effect. And of course, you could use this for all sorts of different effects with different shapes or people for some murder, or toss in some Dr. Caligari. Using shadows as a reveal or as an object that creates the illusion of something else like a window is such a simple and useful effect that of course goes beyond just this noir style. There's something in Knives Out that's not the same thing but similar as an idea and I still absolutely love as an effect, and that is how the key grip on Knives Out disguised the lights that were being reflected in the glasses of the actors to look like windows. So they can still have the lights where they needed, getting the reflection of that light, but it absolutely works in the room since it just looks like windows behind the camera. But for what we're actually doing here, we are using much more inexpensive gear. The light we're using here is a par can. You can find these on eBay for super cheap. They get a little hot, so keep that in mind. But for that one shot, we did use our Aperture 300D with a 26-inch spotlight mount to get that nice defined strip across the eyes. But moving on. Another thing that we wanted to try was to create this sense of a small comedy type club, but without a stage or club or literally anything other than this light and the mic and stand. And I think it works surprisingly well. Justin and Josh set this up with the Aperture 300D again and that 26-inch spotlight mount. With this mount, they can mess with the focus to get the edges of the circle more defined or with more of a blurred edge, which is what they went for in the end. The only other addition to help sell it was the stool with the water bottle and that little plant. And that's it. With that, they had this cheap club open mic look.
So dating is something, that I don't know anything about. So I'll just skip to the next topic. Hemorrhoids.
Which the reason that we set this up was for that cheesy stand-up moments that we've been showing, but while they were shooting that, Josh grabbed the camera to see how far he could push it with just those few elements and got that open that we showed just a minute ago. And of course, you could do this idea with a cheaper light like a par can and some black wrap to create a snoot and get the same sort of vibe. It's not going to be as believable as getting the right tools to do the job, but you still can take what you have to make great stuff. It's just incredibly cool what you can pull off with just a few things and the power of suggestion. And now here's this.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
Assemble is a project management platform designed from the ground up for producers. The founder of Assemble is a former producer himself who was tired of trying to make other management software work for this industry. So with his co-founders, he decided to build one himself, which means every aspect of Assemble has been built through the lens of a producer to make sure it's perfectly tailored for our everyday use as filmmakers, including production calendars that can be built in both month and timeline view. And once they're built, you can share them with anyone via a public calendar link and sync the calendar to Google Cal, iCal, and Outlook, which means you can finally create a calendar that everyone can connect to with no Assemble account required. Then you have industry-grade asset management, including frame-specific commenting on videos, version control, photo galleries, casting and location submission management, and much more. And now you can centralize all your tools and treatments in one production binder with Assemble, so you can stop switching tabs and collaborate together in one place from pre to post-production. So join producers creating projects for Netflix, HBO, and the NFL by getting started today with a 30-day free trial. Plus, you can get 2 extra months free by using the limited time discount code Riot. This code is only good to the end of January, so sign up and get started with that free trial today at assemble.tv.
What kind of boards do directors surf with? Storyboards. Come on, somebody. Just laugh. Thanks.
We showed that strobing moment a minute ago, which is obviously a simple thing. It's just a strobe light that we bought from Party City for like 20 bucks. There's plenty of things that you can do with strobes too, like effects that you've seen from horror films to create some great, terrifying moments. The rapid on and off visibility creates some great unease, but there's also plenty of creative things you can do. But the main reason that I wanted to bring it up here was this weird result we found while doing that dance moment. As we changed the shutter speed and frames per second around, we got this crazy strobing of stripped images running up and down the screen. The slower the shutter speed, the smaller that strip of image was, and as we raised the shutter, the strips widened, but each level gave a different feel for me, with somewhere in the middle giving a very unnerving style, one that I could definitely see being used on moments of horror. Of course, this is going to depend on what sort of sensor you have in your camera, but it's a very interesting effect to play around with. To finally get the full strobe effect on our camera, after moving things around, I finally settled on 25 frames per second and a 360-degree shutter, which gives us this final shot. But let's move on again.
Oh my god! 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 Step roll! Oh, Brian! Oh, with taquitos!
Fire is something that we've shown a few times on the show, from the very simple no budget of making your own DIY dimmer and using a gelled can light to recreate that flicker by just operating it on a dimmer to give that flicker fire result in the end. And it's just crazy cheap to do it that way as well. Then we've done it on a bigger scale, like we did on Ghost House, where we used flicker boxes to control large sources of light to get that big look across a large area. You can find the episodes for both of those that I mentioned in the notes below. below. But for this shot here, you could use a light on a dimmer like we showed in the older episode. But for this, we were testing out Aperture's new Nova P600C, which is pretty amazing. Really beautiful panel with better colors and a ton of output and better effects too, including this fire setting. What's cool about the effect on this light is that it moves across the fixture. So instead of getting that stationary flicker, we're getting some movement to help sell it all even more. In the end, we got close, but not all the way to what I wanted. So I had Josh moving his hands in front of the light to break it up even more. After that, we added a little fog, and there you go. And this fog really is what sells it the most. Just in moving through it, it taking over the room. If we look at this shot with less, it isn't selling as well for me. I also left it with a bit less flicker than I wanted to, so I had more flexibility in post to push a little more flicker with a simple expression on the highlights if I wanted. After that, it's just sound, and there you go.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
But that's it, 5 fun effects using light. Obviously, there's a ton of other ones that we could do, like cop lights or using light to simulate a gunshot, both of which we've shown in past episodes. Links in the notes below for those as well. And if there's some effects that you've done and love, post them in the comments below. We'd love to read them. And until next time, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.
Well, don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't want to miss the notifications of the videos. If you do, it's your fault. Blood's on your hands. YouTube algorithm is a little iffy. But I have one last joke to close it out. What kind of piece of grip gear do you become after you turn 30 years old? A floppy. All right. Sorry for the inappropriate joke, but that's why I'm ending it.